Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, I'm joined by the legend that is Paul Smolinski from Introbiz. How are you doing today, Paul? You okay?
Hi, Mike. Yeah, great. And thank you for inviting me on to your latest new podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. I know I've been trying to nail you down to come on for a while now, so good to finally have you on.
Excellent. And just been so busy. It's just trying to fit in the schedule all the time. But I'm delighted to be on today.
Brilliant. Now, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway for the audience and the listeners. How have you dealt with the lockdown, and how has your business pivoted during this time?
Well, I tell you what, we as soon as we had it was announced on the news that all companies went into lockdown. We sort of like made a decision, and I've been thinking about planning what we were going to do, and we normally do all our events, face to face, every week, and I thought, right, okay, we need to bring this online, and but I thought, well, how are we going to do this online? And obviously, we heard about Zoom. I was looking at different platforms, and I decided to test the market on what it was going to be like, and I never knew what it was, and the strategy was to do online events, but make it a bit different, make it a bit different to what we were doing before, and the strategy was is to bring in world-class speakers from all around the world to inspire, educate, motivate, and connect our clients. And since we started from the sort of middle of March, I was looking at some stats the other day, and we brought over 20 world-class speakers, people like Sharon Lecter, the legendary Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Jarek Robbins, Dr. Fab Mancini, Anil Gupta. We had Welsh rugby legend Jonathan Davis on last week. We had Bob Burke on. And that's one of our strategies always, is to bring the world's biggest names for our clients to meet. And, we obviously work with Richard Branson. We brought Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone to Wales, for the business community. So that was always been our strategy. And going forward now, we've got a host of more world-class speakers planned for July and August and September for our members and the business community around not just Wales, but the UK, Europe, and USA.
Yeah, brilliant. So before we go into what speakers you got coming up, because I know quite a few of them, I know quite a few that you got lined up, but before we do that, tell us a little bit about your background, Paul. What you did before you went into Introbiz and sort of that sort of thing.
So my background was always the fashion industry. I worked in the fashion trade for many years. I was an area manager for I started off in Alders department store. That closed down. I got a job in House of Fraser. I got promoted quite early. I was 18 years old to concession manager. I was one of the youngest managers in the store ever at 18 years old, because my manager left, and I believed I could do the job, and I did. And that sort of gave me the confidence to go into management and be an area manager. I was an area manager at 22, working for a concession company in Topman and Burton's and Foster's and River Islands. And then my career was always, running stores, running big teams. Then I was running suit stores, from Sears Soterio, from Suit You, to store manager of TK Maxx. I was the manager of Moss Bros, the biggest store in the country, and obviously at the time Moss Bros owned Hugo Boss, so I was one of the biggest stores in the country, but the top store selling Hugo Boss, and Hugo Boss they later sold then as a franchise, and they sold it back to Hugo Boss. So I've always been into the fashion industry. I love the fashion industry. And obviously, I met my wife at a networking event, and then my whole career changed. That was it. Trace convinced me to come into the market, and we said we'll give it 1 year, and then we never looked back since then. And at the beginning, what Trace had founded Introbiz in 2009, I never understood the word networking, never understood what it meant, but I didn't realize for the past 25 years I've been doing it, because what my job was in the retail game was dressing all the business owners, celebrities, football teams, from Cardiff City, Swansea City, to the Welsh FA, to like the Welsh Rugby Union, the Glamorgan Cricket. So I've been building my network, and that's what gave me the idea of coming to Introbiz and creating a global brand.
Yeah, and I remember it well, because I actually been a member of Introbiz longer than you've been part of it, because I think you joined just after I joined, didn't you, really? And I remember chatting with you at the time when you had that decision to make. You just been to London and listened to Sharon lecture and that, and I think we spoke of you had plans of doing the first Expo and that sort of thing. And I was there at the time, and I remember it well. And it's quite a long time ago now. The time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, it's amazing. I think you just mentioned then, and I'd probably be still in the retail game, because when I went, I was the guy, where Trace said to me, let's go to London and see these 3 speakers. And I've never heard of them, never heard of Sharon Lecter, never heard of, Kevin Green, Andy Harrington, never heard of these guys. And when I saw them on stage, and I saw Kevin Green, present and talk about his big, massive property portfolio, and he'd worked with and been mentored by Richard Branson. I was like, a guy sat in the audience, 40 years old, thinking, God, these guys are working with like some massive names, like. And when Sharon came on stage, that was a light bulb moment, where she talked about she was a financial advisor on literary boards for the USA government, advising President Bush and President Obama. And we just sat in the audience thinking, wow, this lady's like, knows her stuff. Very, very respectful, big, massive name in America, came over to the UK and spoke, and spoke of all the people, but she talked about leverage, she talked about connections, she talked about networking. She spoke about is who you know, and the leverage that you do, and the people that you network with, and the power of association, and all these things that she spoke about. And I was in the audience thinking, wow, I know what she's on about, And we just resonate together. So we took a photograph with Sharon, and then I went back home in the car, didn't shut up the whole way. And it was like a light bulb moment, saying, do you know what? Now I get what you do as a business, Trace, as networking men. Because Kevin built his business up from networking. Amy Hamilton built his network from networking. And Sharon was like one of the global networkers. And I thought, imagine the amount of people I know that I've served over the last 25 years. And I brought them into the network, how the business would change. And it did. The reason why I came into the business is that I said, we'll give it 1 year. If it didn't work, I'll go back into retail. And at the time, I think Trace had about 25 members. It was more of a lifestyle business. And I brought my connections in, and all of a sudden, we grew from within a year 25 members up to like nearly 70, 80 odd members. And that was really when it really kicked in and started and made a difference to the community. And then I always remember saying, by coming to this business, we need to create a network that's going to be like Hugo Boss. A luxury brand, a luxury network of high worth individuals, high venues, high caliber service, and something different to anything out there. And that was one of the first things that I said. We're going to create something very luxury, unique, and different to everyone else. And that's what we did. We created that. That was the vision when we first started.
Yeah, I remember I gave you some advice at the time on splitting your social media up into different accounts. and also on coming up with a few different packages so that you could aim your pricing at the corporates and the mid-market and not just the SMEs. And I know that had a really good positive effect on your growth the following year, like, you know.
Oh, it was amazing. And I think, I've only been in the business about less than 3 months. And Trace said, oh, we're exhibiting at a business show at Cardiff City. And she paid something like nearly £1,000 to exhibit. She said, not many people go to these exhibitions. And I said, well, and I've never done a business expo in my life. And I went there to this show. I said, well, who comes here? She said, well, the business community comes. And we sat there all day. There was probably about 50, 60 people there all day. And that was including the exhibitors. And I thought, oh, you've paid for how much to stand here and just network with people from exhibitors? She said, yeah. And I remember after that event, I said, you know what? So I sat in the car and at Carsley Stadium, and I turned to Trace and I said, you know what? We're going to do an expo in 3 months' time. And Trace said to me, how are we going to do that? I said, I don't know, but we're going to do a better job than this. And we did. And the first expo we did at Cardiff City in the Rico Suites, we had like 50 odd exhibitors and we attracted over 400 people. The following year, we had something like 100 exhibitors and 1,000 people. And then it just doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled. Every venue we sold out. And that was when the expo was born. Our first keynote speaker was Kevin Green, who I'd seen in London. And I thought, okay. And the reason for the expo was, where do you go in the UK to go and see world-class speakers? There's nothing in Wales. Never seen any big events in Wales at all. And I thought, we're going to bring the top celebrities into Cardiff. Instead of going to London or the NEC, we're going to bring them to Cardiff. And that was always the vision. And then, we were the first to bring the Dragon's Den to Wales with Hillary. Then we were the first to bring the Apprentice winners. Then we brought top entrepreneurs and sporting celebrities. And I think then, we sort of like grew and grew and grew. And then obviously we had a vision then of bringing Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone, two of the biggest names on the planet, two billionaires. We brought them to Cardiff. Over 7,000 people came. And the Motorpoint Arena, the management team said there, it's the best event they've ever seen in 20 years as an exhibition. And that was where, it grew and the birth of it really, where, it took us to the Premier League, the Champions League of exhibitions, because we committed to it and we put on an amazing show, and then say, well, how are you going to top this? And then our goal then was always to work with Richard Branson, and we had that goal set last year, where we are a partner to Richard Branson, and we work with him, and that's always been the dream. Our dream was always to bring the world's biggest speakers to Introbiz events, and since lockdown we've done that, and the members just can't believe it. They're just like, every single week they're blown away meeting these legends, and it's an honor to do that.
Yeah, I think one of the key strategies early on was combining the networking and exhibition package together, because that gave you a clear difference from the rest of the marketplace. And so,
yeah.
That was a really good strategy, wasn't it? And the packages that we come up with at the time to sell both together, I think really had a big difference. And there's a lesson in there for the businesses there who want to, stand out from the crowd and be seen as offering better value and a better proposition than the competition.
Yeah, and I think at the time, networking events out there, and there was like exhibitions, but no one did a combination package. And I looked at the markets, and we grew that, and that's been pivotal for our business and our growth. And it's so important that we didn't want to be like everyone else. We wanted to be different, and how do we stand out? And one thing that we created was, most events you went to for networking, it was just like a boring breakfast event you would go to. Most networks, do those sort of types of events. And what we wanted to create is something unique, something different, high caliber, meets, MDs of companies, CEOs, directors of companies, but also have a choice. So we created over 10 different types of events. So we did lunchtime events, breakfast events, lunch times, tea times. We did golfing events, rugby, football. We did VIP events at Hugo Boss stores and luxury car showrooms. We did keynote speaker events, ladies' conferences. We did events globally in Richard Branson.
As well, a few international in France and stuff.
Yeah, so we did golfing events. We did rugby events. You came to the rugby event in Paris when Wales played France. So we've always had global ambitions, and to take our clients, and we did events in Vegas, the Bahamas, Spain, Sweden. So we've been quite around. We've been fortunate to go around the world and showcase it. And what's very interesting that I've learned by going all around the world, that there's very few networks that do what we do globally, very few. And that's where the market is, that we see the huge potential of Introbiz Global because of our connections, people we work with, and the brands that we work with. And also, we've generated over £250 million worth of business in our network for our members, whereas very few networks that do that.
Yeah, that's where the lockdown has played into your hand, really, in that globalization of your business and the events, etc. So we'll cover that in a little bit. Just wanted to go back to some of the strategy, because I've worked with you for a long time. It's quite good for people as a learning curve to understand some of the differences, I think, on where I believe, you've done things different than other networks, and therefore where you've been better and been able to grow better. And one of those as well was, I remember the strategy, we used to market your Expo 3 months build up to the event, and then it was 6 months build up, and then it was like 9 months build up, and then it was like as soon as one event finishes, it was like market the next one as well, wasn't it? So sort of tell us a little bit about your experience of that and how that developed for you.
I think the expos have been really, really good, and I think when I've looked at the expos in the UK, the strategy has always been pulling world-class speakers, sports celebrities, learn from the greats. I think I was looking the other day, some stats. I think we brought over nearly 200 speakers, over like 9 years. And we've had over nearly 80,000 visitors. And we've had something like over, 1,500 companies exhibit with us. It's been incredible, the amount of loyalty and support from the business community for Introbiz, and the strategies that we use from the expos has been a great way of people showcasing their brands. Tens of millions of pounds have been done at the expos where people are showcasing their businesses, and it's a great platform to be seen and showcase your latest products and services. But also you meet lots of new people. You learn from the seminars, you learn from the world-class speakers, and it's one day of the year where everyone gets excited, everyone's looking forward to it, and it's something that people that want to be part of. The community loves being part of it, and we just want to take it to the next level, and obviously take our growth around the UK in most cities, because that's where we see it. We want to build around there.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. So, so moving on to then the strategy, the globalization of Introbiz. Obviously, the lockdown sort of forced your hand a little bit on that, which is, I think, perfect timing. I think you were in the right place at the right time to take advantage of that, which is why you pivoted so quickly, and actually getting the legendary speakers you've had on already has really helped to reinforce that brand value and that Hugo Boss high level sort of positioning of the network, if you like. What's the grander plans, if you like? How have you, what can you disclose of the strategy you're working on now and that sort of thing? And also then, who have you got coming up soon? Because I know there's some more big hitters on the way.
Yeah, so our plans are, we've done we're in Wales now. We've launched Swansea in West Wales. We've launched in Sweden. Our next city is Bristol in the southwest of England. Then we've got plans for London this year. Then we've got plans for America, a franchise over there. We've got people interested, and so we have great opportunities. And in the last month, we signed up 10 new companies from over the bridge that people are dying to get into Wales, and likewise people trying to get out of Wales to hit the M4 corridor. So that's our vision, is got the M4 corridor next with Introbiz events, meet lots of new people. We've got some amazing brands joining us. But I think, and names wise, we've got, we had Bob Berg on last night. Next week, we've got Zig Ziglar, son Tom Ziglar. We've got another legend, John DeMartini, on the 22nd of July. We've got Colin McLachlan and Sean Milo, who are, they're from the SES. Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank. We've got John Maxwell and Jack Canfield plans in September. So, and also we got events plans with Richard Branson this year in November and at Necker Islands. But also I'm working on some other big projects, which are huge global events that we got planned. And we got some big plans. And I think, that's one thing that we're looking at. We're setting up a new mastermind group in the network with global entrepreneurs, with some brilliant partners. And I think one of the key strategies that we've always built up, and it's down to reputation more than anything, is that we actually collaborate with the right people. And that is so important for your business. It's who you associate yourself with, it's who you network with, and what sort of people do you collaborate with. It's pivotal. And I think that's one thing that I've learned is surround yourself in the right groups, the right connections, because if you hang around with certain people that have bad reputations, what you'll find is you don't want to be tarnished with those people. And or negative or jealous types of people. Get rid of all those guys, because they're just trying to bring you down. Hang around with positive people who want to support you, who want to build long-lasting relationships with you, people who got your back, and those who want to see you do well. And I think the biggest tip I'd give anyone in networking is that we love helping people, supporting people, and people to grow their businesses. And I think we get massive satisfaction when we see companies from, either 500,000 turnover to 50 million turnover or 500 million turnover. We love seeing those people grow, and that's what we deliver for our clients. Week after week. That's what we love doing.
Yeah, brilliant. And tell people how they can find out about the events and find out about Introbiz and all that.
Sure. So go to the website www.introbiz.co.uk. You can follow me, Paul Smolinski, on LinkedIn and also on Facebook and on Twitter. I'm Paul at Introbiz on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram and follow Trace. Trace was the founder of Introbiz. And also, anyone want to learn about networking, read the Introbiz Master Networking book. It's online. You go to the shop page on the website. It's some golden nuggets in there, how to grow your business through networking, and it tells you the story of how we met Rich Dad Poor Dad co-founder Sharon Lecter, who was our business mentor for many years, and we learned so much. And amazing woman.
Yeah, brilliant. And I myself been a member of Introbiz for coming up to 9 years now. And yeah, I've had a great time. It's been great. I've listened to some fantastic people, met some fantastic people, learned some amazing things, collaborated with people, all that sort of thing. It's been fantastic for me. So, anyone watching this who's not part of Introbiz, it gets my seal of approval. Go online, check out some of these speakers. And yeah, I'd like to say thanks to Paul and Trace for giving me a Network of the Year award in 2018, which
Well deserved. Well deserved, yes.
yeah, which I enjoyed, and a bit earlier that year, introducing me to Grant Cardone, which has sort of changed my life a little bit, put me back on my big ambition, which is to become a global speaker, which I think I was always sort of in there. But after seeing Grant doing it, after meeting Grant, and what I realised with Grant is he's a great guy and he knows his stuff, but he don't really know much more than me. On a sales and marketing, he probably knows a little bit less than me, but when it comes to property and stuff, he knows a lot more than me. But as a whole package, I got inspired to think, actually, if this guy's operating at the level he is, I think I can too. So that set me off on a mission now over the last couple of years. So thanks for that. Thanks for tagging me along on that meeting that we did in London, because yeah, it was meeting Grant inspired me, and actually a lot of the other speakers since have all helped me. Les Brown's somebody I want to try and learn a bit more off as well, because I think I like to motivate people and inspire people, and Les is a master at it. So yeah, you keep bringing some great people for people, whatever you're trying to do or achieve in life. There's great things to learn off these people, and you're never too old to learn some new tricks, as they say.
And I think one of the main reasons I came into the business, I always want people to remember, is where do they see him, where do they meet him, and where that was at an Introbiz event. And I think that's something that is trying to build a legacy, that you always remember, where did you meet the greats, where did you meet the legends, and where did you learn from the legends. And I think one thing I haven't touched on is that the amount of people I've met that by learning from the greats and the legends have turned their life around so much, and their business, because they've taken risks. They used to work with different companies, decide to be an entrepreneur, and grow successful businesses. And many times I've had people stop me in the street and say, I want to thank you. And I said, what for? You brought Michelle Moan to your events. You brought Hilary DeVay. They said these key words to me, and I decided to do my own business, and bang, and turn over £3 or £4 million. If I hadn't gone to your events, I would still be doing the same job that I was doing now.
There's a chap called Mark Birch, who's a member of the Swansea event. Actually, he's just done an acquisition of another financial advisor's portfolio after being inspired by Mark Wright to do the same thing. And there's lots of these lessons and stories and things that people, if you listen off somebody who's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt, and it inspires you to go and do it yourself, then you can't get anything better than that, And
I think, I've always had this dream of working with some of the greats and the legends out there. And, when you work with Lord Sugar, and you work with Grant Cardone, and you work with Richard Branson, where'd you go from there? But there's a stack of people that we want to work with and associate ourselves with. And, you've got 3 different personalities, all brilliant people, all got brilliant minds. And, these guys, I've learned so much from them just by their time and their presence and their advice. And they're all just like me and you, just humble people, nice people, very approachable. And one thing I always say is, just be yourself. Just be yourself, be natural. But
authentic. Authenticity works. It sells.
Of course.
Just be yourself.
It's like what Bob Burke said last night. One of the most famous sayings from Zig Ziglar is, the more people you help, right, the more successful you'll become. And that's so true. The more you help people, the more you'll become. And that's what we've always, since we've been going for like over 11 years now, we've helped thousands and thousands of people with our support and guidance and connections and opportunities. And it's come back tenfold to us, because they want to be part of our family. And we've built a community globally that people love and being part of, and that's what we love doing.
Yeah, well, me and you, we both like to talk, and we could go on forever, but I've got a restricted Zoom account, So we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. I always like having a chat with you, Paul. And, we don't have as many as we used to have in the early days because we're both really busy. But, still always good to have a chat with you. And just a little plug for John DiMartini, who's coming up. We've already done an event. You did an event with him last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. He's read over 33,000 books. So I highly recommend everyone to jump onto that event. But, all the masterclass events are good. They're all great, really. So thanks very, very much for coming on the podcast, Paul, and for sharing, lots of what's going on and what's got you there to where you're at now. And best of luck with the future, really.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike.
No problem. Nothing else left for me to say now other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers.
Take care.